there, I'm board certified professional organizer Kathi Burns. I'm really glad you're here. This podcast is designed for busy entrepreneurs just like you who want to take better control of your business and move forward with less stress and more success. If this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Organized and Energized podcast is produced for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at thepodcast.organizedandenergize.com. Come back often and feel free to add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow me on Twitter at Organized Energy and Facebook. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get into the show. Hi, everyone. I'm back and I'm with Eva Medilek, and we're going to talk today about burnout, energy, how to get your yayas back and move forward in your life with full vim and vigor. So welcome to the program, Eva.
Thank you, Kathi. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take off my glasses for the glare. So tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get to where you're being? What were you doing prior to being a small business owner yourself?
You know, I spent nearly 40 years as a dental hygienist, so I've been cleaning people's teeth forever. And that's literally, you know, it's funny because I'm so much more now, but it was really hard to shed that identity even when I started my own business. And the first business I started while still working in dental hygiene was a real estate investment company. And that's when I experienced real burnout for the first time, because I was still working in dental hygiene and building my business. And if you remember, there was this commercial for a perfume called Anjali, and the woman would come out and sing, "I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never let you forget you're a man." And it was the 8-hour perfume for the 24-hour woman. Well, that's what I was doing. I was doing that, and the cooking and the shopping and the laundry and all of that. And so, yeah, that's how I started. And then that experience of burnout and overwhelm and what it did to my health and my relationship got me into high performance coaching right now.
Oh, that's a great story. So how long did you juggle both? How long did it take you before you really reached the fry point?
It wasn't long before I reached the fry point, but I juggled both up until about 4 years ago, to be honest with you. What happened was, because I was doing it all, trying to be it all and do it all so that I can have it all for myself and my family, you know, it did put a certain amount of stress on my body, my neck, my mood. You know, I was a little Miss Cranky Pants all the time. And eventually I discovered my husband's affair. And that was the catalyst that really had me look at who I was being as I was doing and realize my part in that breakdown and that self-sabotaging behavior, if you will. And it was through our journey of coming out even better on the other side of that breakdown that I really got more into high performance habits. I was a high achiever, but I wasn't a high performer. I wasn't performing at my best, even though I was achieving all of the success and accolades. And so I was still able to do both, but I did it with the habits and practices and skills that brought more energy into my life and reverse that burnout so that I could, you know, be a high performer at home, at work, and in my community.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that. You can be a high achiever, but not a high performer or a VAV. You know, sometimes something has to give, and you definitely had the wake up call with that. I'm so happy to hear that you're able to come about and change your relationship and make it a win-win. Do you have children and a family as well?
I do have children, but they are adults. But I love to say that when my husband and I had our come to Jesus moment, the dog was not upset at all. She just snoozed right between us. And I thought, wow, I'm handling this so well. If the dog is not upset, because you know they pick up on our energy, right? And so, but yeah, no, my children were hugely supportive of both of us. My husband is not their father; that he's their stepdad, but we all have taken enough personal development to be evolved as human beings in those moments. And, you know, we had the space and the support of family, and I surrounded myself with people who would not man bash or husband bash or whatever. And we were surrounded with a lot of love and support to help us through that challenging time.
That's really great. It seems to be a recurring theme with my podcast is you surround yourself with people that are going to empower you and hold you up when you need it, you know, and not put up with your, but I should have, and shouldn't yourself and couldn't yourself, and the ones that'll really just tell it straight. It's so important for us, especially as women, that we have the rapport for someone who could just, you know, cut down on our story and cut to the quick of the story and get us off of that daggone story.
Yeah, but also to have us, you know, to really support us in the work that we were doing to figure out what our next steps were. You know, there was really nobody shooting on us, but really just saying, you know, there's so much possible for you both out of this breakdown. There's an amazing breakthrough for you, and I thought, wow, this is going to make a really good story one day.
Absolutely. And it's a really good story for your new career as a high performance coach. So let's talk about that a little bit. How long have you been doing it, and who are your clients? Who's your ideal person that you can help?
Well, I've been a certified high performance coach since 2019. And I was certified by Brendan Burchard. Some of your listeners may have heard of him. He wrote the book High Performance Habits, and he really has an academy that you know, that he personally trains his coaches. And so I so resonated with high performance habits because it's a very heart-centered approach. It's not a workaholic, high achieving approach, but it really is bringing out the best you can be, how your best self would react in situations, and how to bring clarity, energy, courage, productivity, influence, all of those important tenets of high performance. So my clients are basically busy professionals who are experiencing that exhaustion and overwhelm that's affecting their personal life as they are building their business, as they are achieving that next level of success in their life and business. And, you know, we don't want to be successful at a cost to what's important to us. And that's what was happening to me. You know, I was building this business for my family, for generational wealth, for our legacy. And, but I wasn't a very pleasant person to be around while I was building that business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I agree with you. Brendan's a kind, gentle soul. That's a high achiever. So, you know, you can do both. And he's a great example for that. So that's awesome. So do you have any productivity hacks, things that help you get more done in less time that you use personally in your business?
Yes, I do. I actually, it's the calendar, but it's really, productivity to me doesn't mean doing more just to be doing more, but it really is how effective am I in what I am doing. And so one of the things I do is, put it this way, if you've ever seen a NASCAR race or the Indy 500 and you see those cars going at dangerously high speeds, trying to finish the race and win it without crashing and burning, right? Nobody wants to crash and burn on the racetrack.
Yeah.
But I remember every time I saw the lead car, like the car that was ahead, pull over and stop for a pit stop, my first thought was, well, that's stupid. Nothing's wrong with the car. Why are they stopping now? Aren't other people going to fall, you know, they're going to fall behind, they're going to lose, other people are going to pass them up. Well, that was pretty much how I was running my life, you know, afraid to stop, because those drivers know that stopping for a pit stop before the tire blows, before you run out of gas, is necessary for them to continue to race at peak or high performance without crashing and burning. And so I actually schedule pit stops throughout my day.
Yay!
So those pit stops would include me building time in my schedule so that I'm not stuck in back-to-back meetings. I'm not working nonstop, but I'm doing little 5 to 10 minute things that actually keep me energized. Like I eat before I get hungry. Most of us are in reaction mode. We get sleepy, we go to sleep. We get tired, you know, we rest. We get hungry, we eat. what if we were to build our life and our day around stuff that gives us better performance and energy so that we can be more effective in our productivity?
I love that. So tell me how a typical day works for you. So you work 45 minutes, you take 10, or how do you really structure it practically?
Normally, I start my day off with a set morning routine, and sometimes the set morning routine varies, but I do have a morning routine to get me going, because it really, studies show that just having a morning routine wipes out 20% of stress and increases productivity throughout the day. So my calendar is set at there's 15-minute intervals between each appointment. I don't work more than 50 minutes to an hour before I have a 10 or 15-minute buffer. And, some meetings run over. So I at least have 5 to 10 minutes to move my body, drink some water, maybe sit quietly and do a release meditation technique or something throughout the day. I have a hard stop at the end of my day. One of the things that I found that's really helpful, that's a hack, is when I check my emails, I do creation before consumption. What does that mean? I get out the emails that I need to move my life and business forward first before I'm in response mode to the emails that come in my inbox. So who do I need to reach out to today? Who do I need to follow up with? And I do all of that creation email first. And that's what I'll do before I go back in at whatever time I have set in the day to be in response mode now and responding to other people's priorities. And that's putting my priorities first, which is really important.
Yeah, and every email is a call to action. So, something that I train all the time, my clients, that, and any email wants you to do something. So you need to be very proactive whenever you get in there, instead of being reactive and just reading all those emails. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, that, and the other. So I love the fact that you're creating your emails prior to reading other emails. That's really, really a great hack for sure.
Because that's somebody else's priority that I'm responding to, really.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And I do an overall scan to see if there's anything really urgent that I need to respond to first. Like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this email. You want to look for those. But yeah, you got to be really intentional, because it's a black hole. Even the social media. I give myself, I have to work out first before I even look at social media.
I have to meditate those in, man, before I jump in there.
Yeah, well, that's usually, it requires a meditation afterwards for sure. But, I have a certain routine I do in the morning, and then I give myself a timer, 5 minutes, to just look at, what can I find positive in social media here, based on what I posted yesterday or whatever. And then I move on. And then, it really is being in control of your schedule without it having control over you.
Yeah, and having a hard stop is brilliant. And I'm sure that that's something that your husband now very much appreciates. He knows you're going to get off at a certain time, and then,
I'd probably get off before he does. I mean, we both work from home, which means we're the worst bosses to ourselves ever. But we are in creation. But when we do, it's important that when you do shut off, you also unplug and really, really shut off. And so, I'm more into the high performance habits than my husband is, and I get to love what is. And, I'm only responsible for me and the person I am being in relationship. And the beauty of that is that you become a role model for the people in your life. So even though it seems that they may not be on the same page with you all the time, they are watching and observing, and they're seeing how you are able to still show up in full energy and vibrancy with all the work that you have. And they may be stressed and overwhelmed, and they're wondering, how are you doing it? And I'm freaking out, right? So you just set that example.
Yeah, and it's a ripple effect. Every time, everything that we do within our house ripples into other areas, and everything that we do to work on ourselves ripples into other people and v. So I totally agree with that. So what's the best piece of advice that anyone's ever given you, both personal or business, that you remember all the time that you're like, yeah, that's a good one?
Well, I would say the creation before consumption was a big one for me. And also I would say to prioritize. Like, we have so much to do that our to-do list could go on forever. I mean, once read a bumper sticker that said, God put me on earth to accomplish a certain number of things. And right now I'm so far behind that I will never die. And I used to think everything on my list was a priority. Had to be done, had to be done, had to be done. What are they going to think if I don't get back to them in the right amount of time? And I put this urgency on everything. Everything is not urgent. And I've got to prioritize my priorities before other people's. And that, it was like a burden lifted off of me. And I could look at everything on that to-do list and like, okay, what 3 things on here that that need to be accomplished by the end of the day today? And I make sure that's done first, and then everything else is extra and gets moved over. I have my little book that everything's in, because I'm at the age that I won't remember it, but I put it down and I'm like, okay, I have some time to do some of this. What's most important now? Actually, that's the name of my radio show. It's called What's Important Now, Making Time for What Matters Most. And I just prioritize really, really strategically.
Love that. Yeah. Hey, we'll put the link to that show in the show notes as well, so that people can jump into it. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. So I know that you have something that you wanted to offer the listeners. What is it that you want to provide to them and that they can download? Or that
I have some energy generating habits to stay focused and productive. And there are, I believe, 6 of them on here. And it's just kind of a nice blueprint for you to structure your day so that your family is not getting what's left over of you at the end of the day. And you're bringing your best self to every task in your day, your clients, your calendars, your calls, like whatever you have, you're in full vibrancy and energy. And so you can get that at evamedilek.com/energy.
Ooh, easy breezy. And you can also just click the link below the podcast too, if you don't know how to spell Medilek, which you never know. So click the link for sure.
Good point.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is there anything in closing that I should have asked you that you just really want to talk about regarding energy, burnout, or anything that's your forte?
You know what, I would end by just saying that your success depends on your ability to be clear, prioritize, and own the responsibility for creating and setting boundaries. That's my basic CPR to go from high achieving to high performing. Clarity, prioritize, and responsibility for creating and setting boundaries.
I love that. Clarity is so very important, because if you don't have clarity, you can't set the boundaries anyhow. Life just happens to you.
Yes.
And we don't want that to happen. We want us to, grab life full tilt boogie with a clear, precise direction of where you're trying to go with it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been such a pleasure to meet you and talk to you. And I wish you much success and congratulations on everything that you're doing. You're taking numbers, and I'm going to actually listen to your show too.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it's been a real pleasure being on your show. Thank you for the work that you do.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eva. Well, we will see you hopefully sooner than later.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want to hear more, feel free to subscribe on the platform of your choice. Also, if you feel so inclined, I would truly appreciate a good rating from you to me. Have a stellar day.